have a wife, I have 3 children, a 16, a 12, and a 2-year-old. Do not ask me how I did that. And do not feel sad for me, because I enjoy both having a teenager, 2 teenage girls, and 1 awesome little 2-year-old boy. I want to start by sharing a little bit of my journey. So it's 3:30 in the morning, and I pop up out of bed, and my alarm's going off. And I'm excited, right? Because I'm like a tourist. I'm about to leave Chicago to come to Aruba. And who wouldn't be excited about that? I pop out of my bed, I take a really fast cold shower, because it is still 3:30, and as excited as I am, it is 3:30 in the morning. I get dressed, throw my clothes on, suitcase by the door. I walk outside, car service waiting in the driveway. Car service takes me from my house to the airport. I pop out of the car, I get into my line, I go through security, I get to the gate, I board the plane, I get on the plane, I fly here, I get off, right? The whole experience. That's my journey to you. Simple, right? Nothing really bad happened. I have some really bad stories if you guys want to catch me after and ask. I've traveled enough, I have some really bad stories. But this one was good. So I got to Aruba, it was pretty uneventful. But the way I just told you the story is the way the average consumer thinks about travel. But what's actually been happening here is at every single turn, from the time I pop my head up, digital transformation and technology has been impacting my travel, okay? My alarm. Do I have an alarm clock by my bed? No, right? I set the alarm on my phone. In fact, I set 2 alarms, the first one at 3:30 and the second one at 3:40, because I wasn't certain I was going to wake up with that first alarm. But it was my iPhone. And I popped out of bed, headed towards the shower, but before I headed to the shower, I actually went online, went to an app, because me, I'm kind of a techie dork. I have a IoT-based coffee maker. So I hit the little button, and I started my coffee, because when I got downstairs, before I got to the car, I wanted to have my cup of coffee ready. In that car, by the way, that was an Uber, and that Uber was a car that I ordered the night before that I scheduled using my little application. So that Uber, and I said, I told some driver who was crazy enough to be out driving at 3:40 in the morning that I wanted to ride to the airport at that time. I jumped out of the car, and I walked right into the airport, and the Uber driver was all paid and taken care of. I went up and got right into the security line and walked through, and even though I was traveling internationally, I didn't have to engage at all with any travel attendants. I didn't have to wait in any lines. I went right into the the preferred traveler line, like Clear. You guys might be familiar with that. Went right through, went to my gate, boarded my plane. I want to just take a quick step back in your mind, even going back 7 to 10 years ago. Wouldn't be on my phone, I'd be an alarm clock. Sure as heck wouldn't be an IoT coffee maker. If I wanted to order a car service, by the way, that car service would have required me to pick up my phone, to call somebody, to go online and have to have all my flight information ready, have to give them a credit card, have to wait in the morning, have no idea where my driver is. And I don't know if any of you have ever traveled where you ordered a car service and the car didn't show up or wasn't on time, and wow, is that a moment. And you're calling up the car, people like, where is my car? And it turns out, usually it does show up. Occasionally they just messed up. And when you're waiting for a car, prior to say 5 in the morning, you're pretty panicked because nobody's in the office. Car's there. And if my Uber wasn't there, guess what? I could have seen exactly where it was, when it's going to be there. That's the way the technology works. And as I got to the airport, I jumped out of the car. Guess what? I didn't have to sit there and wait for 3 minutes at Chicago O'Hare Airport while taxi drivers and cars are dropping off passengers, worrying if I'm going to get run over while I'm waiting to give them my credit card and sign a little piece of paper. Because Uber, that's all built right into the app. All in the experience, right? Do I want to tip my driver? Do I want to rate my driver? All happening automatically. Just letting me flow. I get out of the car, typing along my way, I punch in, 5 stars, the driver did great. He showed up and dropped me off. Great job, right? Here's a little tip. Fantastic, the whole experience. 10 years ago, passport control. I would have had to have gotten in line because to travel internationally, there's no way to pre-check in for an international trip online. But thanks to technology, I can put all my info into American Airlines, the airline I prefer to fly. They have all my information. They know it's international. The passport information's in. It prompts me when I check in from home to incorporate the information that's already been saved. So I don't have to go through an additional line. I don't have to go through an additional step. It's all digital, all technology, every single turn. Technology has made my experience better. But here's the funny thing about it, is the average consumer does not care. They don't know. They don't realize it's not technology. They're not sitting in their brain going, oh my God, this technology is so great. They're saying, this is what I expect. This is what experiences look like for me today. I live my life on this device. This is how it should work. So what ends up happening is anytime it works differently, they're not happy about it. And then my journey went on, right? I got on the airplane, and this is a great story. I sat next to a woman, a Deloitte consultant, great young lady. But, you know, from the moment we got on the plane, she had 2 iPhones, she had her computer, she was just buzzing, right? She was coming here for vacation, but clearly she wasn't ready quite yet for her vacation. And she pulls out her laptop, she types on her phone. Second the flight takes off, she's logging into her Wi-Fi. Not only logging on her computer, she's logging on her computer and on both phones. Clearly she's got a lot of things going on. And by the way, she's only coming for 2 days of vacation. I'm like, girl, slow down. I'm like, it's gonna be okay. So guess what happens when you get about 45 minutes? So I went Chicago to Miami. So I didn't get on that cool direct flight. Ranella, I need to know more about that. I went through Miami. But I got on through Miami. Well, guess what happens when you get about 45 minutes off the border of Miami when you're trying to use the Wi-Fi provided by American Airlines or by almost any airline? It stops working. You should have seen this girl. Her hair was done well when we started. Suddenly, it was in a messy bun up on the top of her head. She's hoisting over the flight attendant. What's up with this Wi-Fi? Is it going to work? I just said I logged in. I need it. What's going on? Can you reset something? She was asking me to reboot something. And even after explaining to this young lady that it's not the technology, it's that you're over in international waters now, and no longer does our Wi-Fi support where you are physically located. I'm sorry, you're leaving the U.S., and I always pick on ourselves, the U.S. We have a very ethnocentric view of the world. It's our way is the only way. And I apologize on behalf of our entire country. We're not all like that, but we do tend to believe that the world is seen through our eyes. And the bigger the city we come from, the worse that can be. You got Chicago followed by New York, so just remember that. But the technology has impacted my trip at every part. So she never got back on Wi-Fi. And at some point she did doze off. I think she dozed off with like one phone like falling down her chair, the computer laptop like on her lap. I mean, she did take a little nap, but it was just amazing to see. But me, meanwhile, I was enjoying right there on my phone. I couldn't get online, so what did I do? I downloaded a movie to Netflix the night before I got on the plane. I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna have Wi-Fi over international waters. So I went into my Netflix account, I looked for movies I could download. I downloaded the movie, The Bourne Ultimatum. I sometimes think of myself as Jason Bourne. And I was watching the movie, just enjoying myself. By the way, that wasn't possible even a few years ago. If you all remember Netflix, do you remember what Netflix started out as? It was a mail-order DVD company. You would go online to this really crappy website. Now you need to go back and look at what Netflix looked like. Do it the same with Amazon too. Go back to their beginnings. Look at their website. It's really quite entertaining. And you would pick a DVD, and they would send you a DVD in the mail. You would play it in your DVD player. How many of you still have a DVD player? No? That's shocking. That was only like 10 years ago. You put it in your DVD player, and the really, really cool differentiator that had Netflix basically end Blockbuster Video was the fact that they got rid of late fees. It was a pure convenience. It wasn't even about technology, not when it started. Now it's evolved. Here I have my movie on my phone, watching my movie, enjoying my experience, all the way to the moment I've landed. So if you kind of go back and review, I made my coffee with IoT. I set my alarm on my phone. I Ubered over to the airport. I tipped and rated my driver. I went through security. I went online. I watched a movie. All this, all technology driven from every single moment, and yet I didn't give a crap about the technology one time. That's just my expectation of how things should work. That's the age we're in. Technology is enabling digital transformation, but technology isn't the purpose. How many of you read the privacy in the data agreement when you signed up for Facebook? And we'll talk more about this as I get into my presentation. I know I'm eventually going to advance the slide, but I'm so passionate about what I'm talking about, I just stay right here. The privacy and data agreement, you guys are giving a lot of data away, and you're willingly doing it. And this is my Number one consideration when you think about this. One, remember experiences. You've heard this word from everybody that's spoken. Experiences are everything. The reason you are willing to part all your data in order to get access to Facebook is because the experience to you is that good. It's that important to connect with your friends. It's that important to see what they're doing. It's that important to share all your memories and have a place to share all your memories. You give it away because you will never complain when the experience is good. People only complain about giving away their data when the experience isn't good enough for them. So remember that. Remember that as you go. No one will ever complain about getting too much value. So if they get the value, they're willing to part with the data. And that, my friends, is how life begins, how travel happens for every single family. Technology happens at every turn. Now I want to go back with you guys really quickly. Over the last 3 years, I've written 2 of my 6 books. Okay, yes, I've written 6 books. I have a passion for hurting. Writing books is painful. If you want to try something that's really hard, really uncomfortable, and it probably won't do very well, write a book. That's what I recommend. But now I've written 6, and I've started to figure this out. But my last 2, 2 books ago was called Building Dragons. And my most recent book was called Future Proof. Now my next book that'll be out next year, because I just can't stop, it's like an addiction, is called Human Machine. And we'll talk about the future of human-machine partnerships. But when I wrote Building Dragons, and this is really important for everyone in this audience to remember, I wrote the book with one intention. I'm a graduate professor of business at North Central College in Naperville. And one of the things I taught my students and talked to my students about was entrepreneurship, starting businesses, building businesses. And every single student, every single time I would talk to them about it, the only businesses they would bring to my attention that they were emulating after were Amazon, Google, Nike, Facebook. And guess what? All really cool big companies, right? How many of those companies are built every year? How many of these entrepreneurs are going to start the next Facebook or the next Google? Probably not very many, right? I wanted these young entrepreneurs to understand that you can build a business that can grow, that can scale, that can change, that can be very successful without having to be the next giant unicorn. You can be a dragon. Just like every company here, every hotel, every restaurant, every retail establishment, you can grow, change, adapt, scale. And then we came up through Building Dragons with essentially 4 main reasons that companies need to digitally transform. And a lot of people don't understand this because digital transformation, you think it's a technology play. Well, guess what? You cannot solve people problems using technology. You cannot change and adapt and scale your business strictly with technology. You cannot throw technology at people problems. So here's the 4. 1, you digitally transform to increase your business's revenue. 2, you digitally transform to improve the profitability of that revenue. 3, you digitally transform to improve the customer experience. And 4, you digitally transform to increase and improve the employee engagement of your organization. Those are the 4 things. So when we wrote Building Dragons, I actually had set out to write a book about technology because I thought technology was the reason companies were successfully transforming. So I got 9 chapters, over 135 pages written of that book. Guess how much I talked about technology? I hadn't talked about it yet, not even a little bit. So when Renella was up here talking about leadership, sustainability, change, innovation, those were the things we were finding. We were finding that experiences were driving transformation. We were finding leadership, change were driving digital transformation. So we almost had to scrap the whole thing. And sure, we got to talking about technology, and we talked about the cloud and AI and big data and virtual reality. All that stuff comes up. It's deeply embedded in the transformation. But it's not why companies are transforming, it's how. I just told you why. You're transforming so you can stay successful in the modern age. Okay? The second part that I was trying to do in that book was to understand what companies were doing that were greatly successful versus the companies that were either stagnating or staying average or even failing, right? And you've probably all seen those charts about the Fortune 500 where it says, the average life of a Fortune 500 company has shrunk by 50%, 75%, or that 70% of the Fortune 500 will no longer exist in the year 2020. You've seen all those things, right? And if you haven't, there's a lot of that kind of data out there. It's a little bit doom and gloom. But the companies that are surviving, what are they doing? And so in the first book, I wanted to write about that, but I didn't ever get to it. So I wrote Future Proof. And in the future-proof topic that we're talking about in the future of industry and of hospitality, this topic that we're on, I just want to share that before I get into the specific trends. I know it's taken me a little while, but I promise it's worth the wait. So there's 7. We came up with 7 key pillars for digital transformation success. And this isn't just for tourism. That's the next part. We'll talk about some specific trends for just tourism. The 7 trends, though, these are important for every single company that wants to be future ready and to be successful into the future. And those 7, matching a few of the things Ronella mentioned, are experiences, people, change, innovation, leadership, technology, and culture. And I want every single one of you to remember that as you're building your business, as you're transforming your business, as you're listening to the technological trends. If you listen to the trends I mentioned specific to tourism, when Sam comes, when you see the future technologies that he will show you today, when you just continue having these conversations about all the wildly cool technology that's available to help this island make more money, be more profitable, increase and improve customer experience, and make it happier employees that take better care of their customers, remember those 7 things. Technology is only one of them. There's 6 other key pillars that companies need to embrace, endure, and put into the fabric of their very identities in order to become successful in the age of digital transformation. Now everybody exhale. That was for me. So last year, I wrote an article for Forbes where I talked about the 6 trends that are transforming, digital transformation trends that are transforming tourism. So hopefully everything I said, remember experiences, remember you cannot fix people problems with technology, remember all those things I talked about. But I did identify 6 trends. I researched the industry, we looked at it closely. Beyond just researching the tourism and hospitality industry, my company, Future and Research, actually does wide industry research on digital transformation. So last year we did a survey of over 1,052 executives worldwide to understand their biggest challenges, opportunities, and technology investments around technology and digital transformation. So we study this. This is a lot of it's data-driven, and of course, some of it's experiential. But I think there's 6 that are picking the winners and losers. What I'm sharing here is not 5 and 10 years out. Everything I'm sharing, with the exception of probably one of these trends, is stuff that you guys should be thinking about incorporating into your businesses immediately. Stuff that can make a difference for your organizations today that could improve the way you do business. The first one, and you'll hear a lot about this, but the first trend is mobile integration. Mobile first, mobile only. So I talked to you about my IoT coffee. I'm also a huge fan of Starbucks. So I want to thank the island of Aruba for bringing Starbucks here. 2 years ago, by the way, I didn't like Starbucks that much. I was a fan of Dunkin'. Do you guys have Dunkin'? By the way, don't call it Dunkin' Donuts. Did you hear that? Yesterday, they got rid of donuts. They're just Dunkin'. Now, we'll see how that brand experiment goes. But I love Dunkin' Donuts. 2 years ago, Dunkin' had an app, and so did Starbucks. And both apps allowed me to pay with my app in a drive-thru or in the store without ever having to go to my wallet and get out cash. So I talked about this with the Uber, and now I'm talking about this with my coffee. And I just want you guys to understand, this isn't just coffee and Uber. This is something people don't want to do, and it's carry cash. They really don't want to carry a wallet. They don't want to carry credit cards. They just want to carry their phones. And they really don't want to do anything but look at their phones. So anything else you're doing, you're sort of disrupting their lives. But here's the problem. In the beginning, Starbucks and Dunkin' had a fairly similar experience. Their app, they were kind of used for pay, and they were used for, you could log in, upload your gift cards, and you could pick an order. But over 2 years, Starbucks, their app went whoosh, and just became magical. And Dunkin's app, 2 years later, still just kind of stinks. And me, I'm a technology guy. So I love the experience of one app over the other. So what started happening was Starbucks had a rewards program. Starbucks made recommendations. Starbucks had better location tools. Starbucks allowed me to more easily save my favorite orders. Starbucks was just so easy to navigate. And by the way, Starbucks is everywhere. And I like coffee a lot. So I started kind of finding myself taking less selfies with a cup of Dunkin', and I was taking more selfies with a cup of Starbucks. And I felt a little bit cooler, because Starbucks is kind of like an elitist brand, and Dunkin's kind of like your blue-collar brand. And in truth, though, my entire loyalty shift took place because their app was better. Mobile first, mobile only. I could go into the store, I could pre-order my stuff, I could drive by, pick it up, run through the drive-thru, get it. It was just easier and better. And somehow along the way, I learned to like their coffee, because really their coffee's not very good. You guys realize that, right? I'm not a fan of Starbucks because of their coffee. I'm a fan of Starbucks because of their app. And if I go anywhere in the world and I tell this story, people are like, you like Starbucks, you must not like good coffee. Well, in America, we drink dirty brown water. So we really don't know what good coffee is, right? I spent time in Australia and in Southern Europe, and I get constantly lectured when I ask for like a long black, just a tall cup of coffee, because it's like, can you put like 20 ounces in that cup? It's like, that's not how we drink coffee here. I'm like, but I'm American, that's how I do it, right? So, mobile first, mobile only. And in your industry, mobile first, mobile only should enable the entire experience. It should be check-in, it should be check-out. You should be able to book your spas, you should be able to get your wake-up calls, you should be able to order your room service, you should be able to choose your excursions. These are just a handful of the things that you should be able to do. Now, my experience here, I'm in a beautiful hotel, at a beautiful resort, in a beautiful place. I will say, and I'm being very honest, I'm a millennial, I like my technology, I kind of like to be left alone. I don't necessarily love the high-touch culture. Now again, this is something we'll keep talking about. You'll have to figure this out because everybody wants something different. Every affluent guest might have a different preference. Technology is going to help you do this. But I wanted to be able to check in on my phone, but I didn't. I had to wait in line to check in. I had a nice surrounding of people that were all there to greet me, and that's great. And I love that everybody's so excited for me to come, but I'm a little bit of an introvert, so even though I'm up here on stage talking, you'll find when you talk to me off stage, I'm really not that interesting. I want to be able to book my spa appointments or my excursions. Now you can see my hair, nails, very important to me. Wake-up calls, you know, like I said, I use my phone, but I wouldn't mind having that backup. Anybody that's ever traveled and had a hard deadline, you know, we all get a little bit nervous about getting up in the morning, so if I had an easy way to have a wake-up call through the hotel, I would be more than happy to do that. But if I have to call the front desk and talk to somebody, or God forbid, actually figure out how to program it through the phone, that's not convenient to me. That might be convenient to the hotel, but that's not convenient to me. And then you look at room service. How do I order stuff? How do I order stuff and how do I make it simple? And don't tell me going to a website. I can go to a website 15 years ago and find a menu and call in an order. That is not mobile or mobile only. And then, of course, the excursions. You know, you talked about kiteboarding. You talked about all the things that you can do. How do I know all the things I can do? Do I have to go down and talk to somebody and ask them? Now, again, for some people, that's the way they want to do it, but that's not everybody. And again, the whole thing about digital transformation is no matter what experience someone wants, can you use technology to enable it? If somebody wants to talk to a human, make the humans more available by making technology useful for the people who are willing to use it. Think about it that way. Because the thing is I want to go on vacation and I don't ever want to talk to anybody. But the real thing about mobile only, mobile first, mobile integration is exactly what I just said. What do people want? What do they want to have access to and make sure that they have access to it? Because the expectation has been provided to us through Starbucks, through our airlines apps, from the moment we leave our house to the moment we get to Aruba, is mobile enabled. So when we get here, although there may be certain cultural ways that you guys like to engage people, remember, it's their vacation, not yours. So introduce them to the customs, share the customs, hope they're willing to embrace and learn. But some people just want to go to a beach, they want to order their, their Mai Tai, whatever the drink is. What's the drink here? I can't say that. But they want to order that drink, and they want to get it quickly, and they want to not talk to people. That's some people want to talk to people, all good. Just make sure you make it all available for them. The second trend is the power of AI. Okay? AI is a sensitive subject. A lot of people in industries where they're very high touch, they don't love the idea of AI because AI replaces automation. They get scared. Well, how's this going to impact my job? If there's AI and automation in the place, does that mean less work for me? And in the process of writing the book about the future of human-machine partnerships, I actually believe there will be more jobs created and more opportunities created because of AI. What it will get rid of is mundane, repetitive work that can be done by a machine. So yes, I don't need a person to answer the phone to set up my wake-up call. That's true. But those high-touch services that I do need, those experiences, that person to guide me on my kiteboarding trip, those people will not go away. That will not change. There will be plenty of new opportunities that will be created because of the technology. That's important to know. And so I looked out there, who's using AI very well? So it took me around the world. The first place was Las Vegas. Meet Rose. Rose is a text-enabled chatbot that was set up by the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Las Vegas. Rose will answer, reply, and grant pretty much any reasonable request that you send to Rose. And guess what? Rose is AI-powered, but Rose is AI-powered in partnership with humans, right? If I want to schedule my check-in, check-out, I can talk to Rose. No human interaction needed. If I want to order a medium well filet mignon to be in my room at 8 p.m. tonight when I get back from my all-day meetings, Rose will work side by side with catering or the restaurant to make sure that that experience is granted. But it's Rose plus people equals greater experiences. The Cosmopolitan said, we want to make sure that any guest that comes to our hotel that wants an automated chat experience, that doesn't want to talk to people like Dan, can have that experience and have it very easily. Just text Rose. And of course, Marriott here, right? Is anyone from Marriott here? You very shyly raise your hand. Okay. Well, the Marriott Hotels has always been an innovator. Starting all the way back in 2014 with their Loft Hotels, they've been using chatbots to increase the success of people checking in, checking out. Marriott in China has actually added facial recognition technology to speed up check-in and check-out. So now you can walk right up to a little machine, look at your face, automatically align it with the ID, print out your keys, go to your room, and guess what? Dan's happy again. Didn't have to talk to anybody. Now, that's my preference. That's not everyone's preference. But using AI, the Marriott has said, we want to accommodate every different type of customer, every different type of guest. And again, people going to China may not be going for vacation the same way they're going to Aruba, so that may be less important, but what they're thinking about in China is, what do the people that visit here need? And that's exactly what you guys should be thinking about. What do the people that are visiting here need? How can AI help them? So I'm going to move on to the third trend. Everybody following me? It's a small room. Anyone have a question? Raise your hand, shout it out. Or we could wait till the end. Well, let's talk about IoT. The hotel and hospitality industry around the world has done some really smart things for sustainability. In a lot of hotels, when you leave the room, they use sensors now. And those sensors are able to tell if nobody's in the room for a certain period of time, and then what happens? The room shuts down, right? And that's really great, because when you have hundreds or thousands of rooms where people are out and about and enjoying their day, laying on the beach, drinking their... Yeah, that. When they're drinking that, they don't need to have air conditioning running at 68 degrees. And they don't need to have their lights on, their TV playing, the radio on, their computer, well, maybe they want that charging, we'll see. But the point is, good stuff. I'm glad hotels are doing that. Here's a problem. You're outside, it's 95 degrees, you're sweating, you're finishing up your day, you're ready to go back to your room, you want to take a shower, clean up, and head out for a nice dinner. But you get back to your room, and it's like 95 degrees in that room, right? The room's heated up. And what if, instead of waiting that 10 or 15 minutes and giving people that 10 minutes, they're like, oh, I'm so sweaty, it's gross in here, why is everything off? Why is my hair not running? Why is the room not the way I like it? What if there was an app? What if there was a sensor using IoT, and they could say, hey, Dan Newman just walked back onto the property. He's heading back towards his room. Click, air conditioning goes on. Room gets set to a certain temperature. Knows that I'm there. I walk back into the room. Room is perfect for me. I get in there. It's a crisp 72. It's just cool enough that it doesn't make me sweat, but it's warm enough that when I get out of the shower, I'm not freezing cold either. It's exactly to my taste. And it's all done through the power of something as simple as IoT. And this is just one example. But the truth is IoT, and you talked about the beacons, Ronell, you talked about being able to see what people are doing and where they're going and their behavior. The IoT is this wonderful way of capturing people's data as they spend their time here. You guys are familiar with Disney, but Disney has the Magic Band, right? And they get it more than any other company on the planet. And this band you wear around the park, and you think it's convenient for you because you walk up to the ride and the little green light goes off and you're like, oh, this is great, I'm not waiting in line. That isn't for you. I mean, you think it's for you, that's for them. They know where you eat. They know what you like. They know what you do. It's perfect. It improves the customer experience, and boy, does Disney know a lot about every single guest. And by the way, guests spend more money at Disney. So IoT can be a wonderful way for companies to better understand when they should recommend that return trip. When should I recommend it? What excursion should I propose? What are the important behaviors that are indicative of people having a good experience here or not so good? And how can we know that sooner so we can make it better? And then when can I upsell you? When is the right time to propose to you to spend more money, to stay longer, to come back, all those things? IoT passively can collect all that data, and they can really, really help your organizations give those customers that 1, 2, 3, 5% better. And that 1, 2, 3, or 5% better can be the difference between somebody coming back and somebody choosing to take their next vacation somewhere else. And I want to build on IoT really quick here. I want to talk about all the data that you can collect and analyze. So IoT is a start point, and that's a big trend because the beauty of IoT, right? The real beauty is that people don't have to do anything. So, but data as a whole comes from many, many other sources, right? It's what you're sharing online. It's articles and blog posts that people write. It's where they surfed, and what they did, and where they went. There's tons and tons of data out there. And the second question that every hospitality organization should be asking themselves is, can we do more with the data? What can we learn about even our own business? You know, and in some of the areas that hospitality, tourism, customer service, organizations in and outside of your industry are doing extremely well, for instance, is customer service, right? Customer service is understanding, well, who's someone talking to? So when they do call into the hotel, or they do call into the travel agency, or they do call in to a resort, and they talk to somebody, and they're asking questions, and they're trying to determine, am I going to come here? Am I going to book my travel here? Who are they talking to, for instance, where they tend to book at the highest rates? And then who's the people we're talking to that maybe doesn't convert just as well? Now, this doesn't mean person A should get a big promotion and person B should be terminated, but is there an opportunity to better train, to help our employees grow and become better at their work through analyzing data and better understanding how they are engaging customers, how they are talking to people, and how they are trying to inspire people to take a journey to Aruba? That's just one example of how more data through your systems, through your CRM solutions, through the software that you're collecting, all that data, are you using it and using it as effectively as you can? Because beyond the IoT data, with all data, you can start actually answering those questions. Why did one customer book with us and another one choose not to? You guys are doing retargeting and advertising on social media and on Google and on Facebook. Well, which ads are working the best? Which ones are converting? There's tons of data available to you, and that data would allow you to modify. So how can I improve that experience? How can I know the exact instant in a customer's journey where they chose Aruba? And how do we make that more prevalent in every single advertisement, every single engagement that we give our customers to increase that conversion rate, to get more people to pick here? Because this is a beautiful place. But there are many beautiful places around the world that have bars, sand, water. And as much as we don't like to think that there is. And I love it here, but I also loved it on Maui. I loved it in Jamaica. I'm saying, you know, and these are really those honest moments where you realize that the data can be the difference. The data can be the difference in helping me select to come here versus going to one of those places. And I'm getting to the end here. I got two more. This one makes me very, very happy, and this one should make you guys very, very happy if you're doing it well. For a long time, companies believed they actually got to determine their brand. They believed that their marketing department and their creative departments had the ability to decide what their brand's slogan, logo, and how their brand was defined. Guess what? You're wrong. You're all wrong. Your marketing department has no say in what your brand is anymore. Now, I know that's a strong statement, but I want you to consider this. Do the reviews, do the online conversations, do the tweets, do the YouTube videos, do people watch those, or do people go to your webpage and decide what they think the brand is? I think you guys all know the answer to that. The customer has really gained so much power in the age of connectivity that they really do dictate the brand. They really do decide what your brand is. You might say, we are the best experience company in the world. We are Amazon. Well, guess what? In mass, that may be true. But for John's a made-up person, by the way. John had 3 packages that showed up 2, 3, 4 days late that were very important to him. Guess what? All of a sudden, Amazon's not his favorite company, and they're not the best customer experience company in the world to John. So it's become highly personalized now. And it's because of these personalized experiences that the customer now really has the ability to determine your reputation. What they say to you, to their friends, to their family, to the people they don't even know on social media platforms really does determine your reputation, and it becomes your brand. If your reputation is that you provide tremendously great customer service, guess what? Your brand becomes a customer service brand. And that's what's happened with Yelp, with TripAdvisor, with Google. Do not take lightly, and I'm sure you don't. Does anybody here not take seriously the reviews that are being left about their properties or about their hotels or retail environment or restaurants? Because if you do, take that very seriously. And I'll tell you why. People use this data. They use this data in big and important ways to make decisions about where they spend time, where they go, what they do, right? A lot of people look at their reviews online weekly. 93% of people use an online review to make a purchase decision. An online review could be on one of those sites, and it could be a review left by a friend on a Facebook post. They read the reviews. And here's probably one of the tidbits that I think most companies ignore, and they don't realize, but people also can figure out that people will spend more money based upon the reviews that are left. So when your reviews are very positive, they've found that people will spend, on average, up to 15% more money to go somewhere where they are certain that they are going to have a great experience. That's a really important thing because you can drive your profit margin up by focusing on having stronger reviews and making sure that that brand that's being determined by those customers is the brand you want it to be. So it's not that you really have no control, but it's a collaboration. And the collaboration of who your brand becomes is based upon what your marketing actually accomplishes against the story you tell versus the stories that become shared by the customers who experience your brand. I told you, experience is everything. I'm going to get to my final trend here, and this is a little bit future looking, but I really do believe this one is an important trend for tourism, something for this industry to start thinking about. People want to experience more before they make the commitment. Okay? People want to know, what will my view be from my room? What will the view and experience look like on your beach versus that other beach? What does the lobby of your hotel bar look like, right? All these little experiences that people can have, you can convince them that it's awesome, or you can miss the opportunity simply by not considering new and next generation technologies like virtual reality. My 16-year-old daughter's making a decision on which college to go to. She's a junior in high school right now. Do you know with over half the schools she's looking at now, I was able to plug in my Samsung S9, that's not an advertisement, I just happen to use Samsung Gear, into a Gear headset. She plugged it in. She was able to take virtual tours of the schools without having to fly. And we've flown around, we've taken her on campuses, and we've shown her. But you know what that difference is between that, using that application for schools and not, is she can very quickly tell me what she doesn't like. So while that VR technology may not actually give that 100% yes for her to pick a school, it's given her 100% no on more than a handful of occasions, because she just looked, she walked around, she looked, the buildings, the architecture, the location, the colors of the trees, the weather, all those things she can get a sense of by using VR technology. You guys have magic here. You have a magical place with beautiful beaches. And people see pictures, right? Well, guess who else takes really good pictures? Jamaica, the south of France, Hawaii, Fiji, right? All those places. And you know what? I look at your pictures and I look at their pictures, and guess what? I can't tell the difference. That hurts, right? What's that? Of course. This stock VR experience. So that question goes not just about VR in itself, but is that new technologies as a whole, like VR, can empower us to go beyond the physical limitations that we have, to experience something more closely. So I just want to touch back on these trends real quickly. So the 6 trends: mobile first, mobile only, powered by AI. IoT is a massive opportunity and something that every single hospitality, tourism, retail, restaurant company should be thinking about how to incorporate in the business. How do I use that, collect that data, and make better experiences with it? And then what else is available? What's the whole big data spectrum of our industry look like? All the data. What do people spend? How do they spend it? How much time? When did they book? Where did they go online? How are they engaging on social media versus traditional media to make decisions on your brand? Collect it all, analyze it all, find the technologies that helps you. And then, like I said, you're going to need to pick the right partners, pick the right analytics partners. You guys are not all analytics experts, but if you have the data, you can find those partners to help you make more of that data. Remember, the customers are really the ones that determine your brand and reputation today, no matter how much you want to control that. And remember, the technologies of the future will become enablers to get more people to come to your island, to do more, spend more, and be more. And remember, digital transformation is about increasing your revenue. It's about improving your profitability. It's about making those magical customer experiences. And it is about creating an environment where your employees can thrive and do their best work, which will all tie back into that circle of revenue and profit and customer. Employee, revenue, profit, customer. It's a circle, and it's something that can create the kind of companies that are in the future, the dragons. I'll take you back on a little story beyond my journey, right? People think experience is a new thing, right? Because in the last couple of years, experiences have been a very hot topic. Companies have talked about experience. But experience is really something that becomes deeply embedded in the DNA of a business. People who understand experiences tend to be businesses that always understood experiences. I'd love to share a little story from Disney World. So I mentioned Disney and the Magic Man. Everybody thinks, oh, in the last 10 years, Disney's become this super innovative experience company. Disney has always been an experience company. Disney understood experiences from their very beginning. Disney understood that even the cleanliness of their theme parks, just by keeping their theme parks neat and clean, that people would be happier and more excited to spend more time and more money at the Disney theme park. Well, over 25 years ago, Disney knew that was important to them. They knew the experience, and they knew that having the cleanest, nicest, funnest, most well-designed theme parks would create those experiences that people would come back, talk about, spend more money at, return, tell their friends. All that stuff would happen if they did it right. But there wasn't computing like now. There wasn't cloud. There wasn't IoT. So what did they do? They took their cast members. They put them out into the theme parks. Their cast members stood around and watched people buy hot dogs and Cokes at the concession stand. Okay? And they took a little notepad. This was the old iPad. It was a notepad. Used a pen. Okay? If you lost it, you couldn't go back it up. Backup was a physical copy. They took a pen. They wrote it down. They said, Dan Newman just bought a hot dog and a Coke. He ate it in 3 bites. That was kind of gross. But then he walked 23 steps, and he dropped it on the ground. He looked around. He's not a bad guy. He's not a bad human. But he didn't want to carry that hot dog wrapper and that empty Coke cup for the rest of the day around the park. And then they watched Ranella. Ranella's a much more polite person. She ate hers. She took 40 steps. She went 40 steps around the park, and then finally gave up. And they did this for days, and they did this for weeks. And then finally, in the end, they realized that on average, the guest at Disney theme park would be willing to walk about 25 and a half steps in order to find a garbage can, or else they would litter. And their theme parks would be not as neat and not as clean, and they would have to spend more time and more money and more effort to try to maintain that. So what did Disney do? Disney put a garbage can every 25 and a half steps from all directions of every single concession stand in their parks to make sure that their theme parks had the best possible experience. That's a tiny little detail, but those tiny little details and experiences are the difference between companies that understand, transform, become profitable, grow their revenue, and become the dragons, become companies of the future that can sustain, can survive, and can thrive. And I want to thank Aruba very much for having me here today. I went a little long. Do I have time for any questions?
Yes, we do. I was so excited for your presentation this morning. I didn't even give the team of Elite a chance to put on the code for the slide. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Feel free to email me, tweet at me if you have questions you don't want to ask in public.
We have a lot of questions. Don't forget Slido.com and our code for the questions, WTDC, all right? So we have plenty of questions for you this morning.
Do I have plenty of time?
Yes. No, we don't, actually. Okay, one of them says, with so much technology options, apps, and advances, how does a business in tourism determine what trends they should explore and apply to their business?
So that starts with the data and the analytics. Everything to me for companies, and I know I mentioned in Trends 3 and 4, IoT and analytics, companies need to become cultures of analytics. That's what we talk about, and that's not just in this industry, that is in every industry, but this more than any. You have a mass of data. So the first thing is figuring out what is all the data sources, all the data and information that is available to you at your disposal, okay? And then what are those experiences that can drive those four main things I talked about? What is the analytics and data that you can help use to drive revenue or to improve your profitability, to increase the customer experience? And then measurement. And I want to say one more thing about this. This does not all need to happen at one time. And I talk about this throughout the books. I don't have enough time up here to share all the details as much as I would like to. But you don't need to boil the ocean. I know you guys have the ocean all the way around you. But think of it like, boiling a single pot of water. You might pick one thing. How do we make sure that that guest experience upon arrival is as good as possible? Right? Let's fix that. And then you figure out, how do I make sure that we're helping people find all the right things to do while they're here? Let's fix that. Because a lot of companies look at the analytics pool, all the data and information available to them, and they become overwhelmed by how much they have at their disposal. And so it's almost like paralysis by analysis. They do nothing because there's too much. So I always say, start small, pick one thing, and really realize the importance of finding partners that can help you to analyze all that data that you have. And I understand there's an investment in that, but that investment overwhelmingly yields high returns. Across all industries, companies that invest in analytics are accelerating at much greater rates than companies that are avoiding them.
Thank you very much. Our next question. I know that all of us here in Aruba, we take pride in our people, our friendly people, and all the languages we speak, and that special touch to all the visitors that come and want to spend a great time in Aruba. So our next question says the following. How can AI help visitors who come for a genuine human interaction?
That's a great question. I think it's that there are certain pieces of every trip that don't require that genuine human interaction. I think it's not about eliminating it. I hope you guys I was being a little fun in the fact that I'm a person that minimizes human interactions because that's my choice. And what I'm really was trying to get across to you guys is every single consumer that comes here has choice and wants choice. So if they want those genuine interactions, you guys get that. You shouldn't get rid of that. And in fact, you should enable that. But AI, for instance, could actually determine through like an AI chatbot, right? Mm-hmm. You might want to have a question about checkout, right? And it could say, what time do I need to check out? And it'll say, 11 o'clock, right? Well, I want a late checkout, okay? Well, the chatbot might be able to approve that too, right? Mm-hmm. But there's nothing to say that that same person can't still get on the elevator, walk down to the lobby, and go to the desk and say, hey, I prefer to walk up and talk to a human. So the point is, don't eliminate humans. AI is not designed to eliminate the humans. It's designed to enable people who want that experience to get that experience, but people who are willing to use technology to skip that, to make more people available to serve and enhance their needs outside of areas like that, which are pretty simple, mundane tasks that could easily be included and automated into your ERP systems and into your back-end software suites.
So there's no reason whatsoever we should be afraid of AI replacing our jobs or our task at work.
Well, I think, like everything, AI will change work. I mean, I think it's unrealistic for me to say nobody will lose a job because of AI. I think there are lots of new opportunities that will be created, some that are more obvious and some that are unknown. It's just like the title of a social media manager. How many companies had a social media manager 10, 15 years ago? None. But when social media first came on and people started learning about it, they didn't know what that impact would be in terms of their work or in terms of the way people book. When Expedia came online, did travel agencies all go away overnight? I mean, transitions happen over time, and there's still a need. Like travel agencies are a great example. They still exist because there are very specific applications where you cannot automate and simplify that entire thing for booking a wedding of 100 people. You still need a much more comprehensive human experience. But if one person wants to check into the hotel and they're happy to use their phone, make that possible for them. It's all about choice. It's not about eliminating, it's not about replacing, it's about creating an economy of choice for these people.
Perfect, thank you very much. Now, I'm sure many of our partners who work in tourism sector, they have a website, and you spoke a little bit about that. So we have another anonymous question that says the following: if people look at reviews and not your website, does it even make sense to have a website?
Yes, so it's a journey. People don't go to reviews and then make a decision and stop. People oftentimes go to a review, decide on something, and then they want that brand-focused advertising, right? It's that customer journey, that 360. So a lot of people start with a review. It's like buying a new car, right? You probably start by reading some different reviews, you read consumer reports, you ask your friends, what do they drive, do they like it? That's that whole peer review social experience, right? But eventually you have to go on and log into the dealership site, or you log into a site and you go, okay, this is the person I'm going to go try to eventually to buy from. So it's that during the journey and then post. Once you've made a decision to buy, a lot of times those hotels or those resorts have the most in-depth information for your journey now that you've selected to go there. So there's definitely a place for owned media in the journey. You just need to understand how important that peer review and that earned and shared media is in terms of someone making that decision to eventually come to your site.
Maybe include like a chat bot in your own website so they could feel like they're chatting with somebody from your company through your website. That's not something you're going to find on a review website, for example.
And that's totally common. In some of those examples I talked about, like Marriott and stuff, theirs isn't only for people who are coming. They have those bots available for people who are inquiring, want to know availability of a resort, things like that. That's the pre-sale. And then, of course, the post-sale. Have I had a problem? Have I had a great experience? Do I want to share it? Can you make it easy for someone when they go to their site? Can you just send them like that question? Did you have a great trip? Can you just click? Like with Uber, how easy have they made it to give someone 5 stars and rate it? Now, if you want to write something manually, less people are willing to engage that way. But even if you could just get everybody who traveled, get them a quick pop-up through a chatbot or something as they leave, say, how do you rate your thing? You can get real, at least quantitative ratings from everybody who comes on, grow that rating base a lot more, and find out if maybe there's something not going well. Make it easy for people to share, because only a small percentage of people who want to share their experiences will take the time to share it. Usually it's only the people who've had really bad experiences or extraordinarily good. Those people in the middle don't tend to take the time.
All right. I'm going to put you in the hot seat. All right? What was your first impression of Aruba's technological status? Drum roll.
I wish I could do a drum roll. You have to remember, I mean, I'm a high-tech industry analyst, so I get to play with all the toys, I get to see everything that's brand new. So I think the iPhone is still old technology. So I don't think, it's very hard to impress me with new technology. I would say so far, it's very average. If I'm being totally honest, my experience with, the hotel, no real noticeable, traditional check-in, regular elevators, no smart keys or security to prevent people from coming up to my room.
Taking notes.
What's that?
I'm taking notes.
Okay. I'm just being, candid. Like the room doesn't have anything like in terms of, so this room doesn't have any of those sustainable technologies. It doesn't turn off when I leave. you know, it's blowing cold air all day, which is fine. But I mean, that's the you know, if you wanted to be honest answer. I mean, but it's also, if I can say, it's pretty much on par with most other similar types of locations I've visited. So it's not like I've been to, when I went to, I said I went to Jamaica, very similar experience. So what I'm saying is you guys are in a very good place. You're not behind. I feel like you're very much on par. So the opportunity and the reason you guys have days like today is to start to see how you can accelerate. My thing is you guys are in a state of opportunity to start incorporating sustainability into your business, to start leveraging those beacons more effectively. Because even our research says, you know, companies have about 18 months to really catch up with the technological curve before they risk falling behind. So if you guys are doing this now and you're spending the next 1 to 2 years working hard at it, you guys can take the analytics, take the data, start investing in new technologies, and pull yourself ahead of rival destinations.
A follow-up question to this one.
Was I supposed to be honest? Or was I supposed to be
Absolutely. Yes. You get a better insight when you have a neutral visitor with experience that can tell us. Yes?
Pro Aruba.
Wait until you try the Aruba.
Got that on the stream? Pro Aruba.
So a follow-up question, if you were to change or fix one thing to improve Aruba's connectivity, what would it be?
Connectivity, AI. I'd say, you know, continue to work on making it more pervasive. So I've found myself in a number of spots. Now again, I use T-Mobile, Deutsche Telekom, which is pretty much a global mobile carrier, and I expect it to work everywhere. You know, I've definitely been on parts of the, like where I walked outside, maybe only 25, 30 yards down towards the water, and I couldn't get a Snapchat to send out because my signal was, so like little things like that, continuing to boost up the connectivity. With the 5G is going to be a huge opportunity. I didn't even really talk about 5G, but you know, it's like 10 times faster than LTE as we know it right now. It's 10 times plus faster. So embracing new networks, getting all the networks and connections up to the highest possible speed, because that's also going to be required for a lot of things we talked about, whether that's machine vision, you know, we talked about facial recognition, whether that's smart cities, you guys talked about improving traffic flow. That's going to mean camera, it's going to need vision, it's going to need to be able to process data quickly at the edge, it's going to need to be able to stream it back and make decisions. You're going to need the fastest possible connectivity, both locally and, you know, obviously wide area type networks and LTE and 5G for consumers, because those consumers can't actually enjoy the benefits of those experiences if their devices are running slow. And because you're a destination, you need to make it really easy for people with lots of different services, because people oftentimes nowadays just expect whatever they come here with is going to work.
All right, so congratulations.
That's it?
Yes.
I see more. No, I know you got to get on. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everybody. Daniel Newman, round of applause. He's going to be with us.